I was recently watching The Verdict of Tyree Nichols, a man in Memphis, Tennessee, another major city, which I don't think that, you should be in. Uh, and I advocate for getting out of these major cities. I was reading Acts, what is it, 16, 13, or something like that, where Paul went into Athens and he was grieved at what he saw of all of the idolatry. And I know exactly how I felt because that's how I feel when I go into these cities today, whether it is Memphis or St. Louis or Louisville or Nashville, because those are the cities that are nearest to me. But, it got me to thinking uh, because, as we all know, and as you can clearly see, I am a black man and I live in Western Kentucky. Now, when I moved out here, I did not know anybody in Western Kentucky. I had never been to Kentucky. Uh, don't know nobody in Kentucky. I'm from New York City, Brooklyn, New York, born and raised. And uh, I knew that when I moved out here, it's this age old saying, if you can make it in New York City, you can make it anywhere on the face of planet Earth. Because if you can roll with the sharks out there, you can swim with the guppies, especially out in these country towns. Uh, however, the fact of the matter is that I am still a black man in the country. And how is it that I am able to thrive and do so well out here in spite of my blackness? Let me tell you how. Because, see, it's all about how you conduct yourself. And I'm going to tell you two scenarios in which I personally experienced that, as a direct result of how I carried myself, I believe that it got me out of situations that could have ended badly. And this is what I did when I first moved out to Kentucky, uh, uh, to ensure that I could avoid any kind of escalations whatsoever. Now, regardless of where you are, what you're doing, you can run into situations because at the end of the day, I am a black man. And I realize that law enforcement, there's a high probability that despite of what happens, whether or not it's justified or not, whether I'm doing a crime or not, and I've never been arrested, I've never been convicted, I've never been accused, I've never been involved in any kind of crime whatsoever. If you do a background check on me, it is squeaky clean. As a matter of fact, I don't even have a parking ticket uh, uh, on my driver's record. As a matter of fact, the for to insure two cars between me and my wife, we pay around about $200 a month, and that is full coverage. Now, I don't know anybody who has lower coverage than I am, that I have. So that just gives you a good understanding of my background. But let me tell you what I did when I moved out to the country, what out here into the country, because again, I understood that I was moving and this is not a melting pot like New York City. The vast majority of people out here, of course, white people. The vast majority, no, all of my clients are white people. Uh, and I'm doing very well out here. But the first thing that I did when I moved out here, which I didn't have to do, but I felt that it was necessary to do, is I took my ass right down to the local police department, the local sheriff's department, and the state police. And you know what I did? Hey, my name is such and such. I gave him my ID, and I said, hey, I'm new to the area. I'm excited to be here. Is there anything, any advice or anything that you can give me? I went ahead and I introduced myself to the local police department, the police officers. Why did I do that? Why did I do that? Because I realized that I'm a black man moving from a big city to a small rural town, and I'm not known. So what that did for me is it allowed me to disarm them from the perspective of having a preconceived notion as to who I am. Now, a lot of people, they're not going to give you that kind of wisdom or that kind of knowledge or information because, hey, especially if they're white, they're not thinking along them lines. But you, as black people, and if you're moving to rural locations where you're not in an area where you come from, these are kind of good things that you're going to want to do. Now, at this point in time, I've serviced cops. I've done work in their homes. They know who I am when I go out to the store, and I open and I conceal carry. They know who I am. And even in some of the neighboring towns, they know who I am. And what it does is it disarms them. They say, hey, I'm not a threat. Now, in spite of all of that stuff, something could very much well take place. And I understand that because at the end of the day, I understand and I realize and I accept the fact that I'm a black man living in the country. But what I want to do is I want to minimize the probability that I may run into some kind of altercation or, hey, and I'm in a situation where I can put my life on the line because at the end of the day, my goal is to get back to my family to make sure that I can provide for my family, right? That's the goal at the end of the day is when we leave them gates is to make sure that we can get back home, you see? But it's all about how you carry yourself because one of the things that I can see that's a common denominator and the Tyree Nichols or the other situation where this young man was shot, Hinton or Hilton or whatever his name is that they were running. They were running. And hey, what I'll teach my sons, and hey, listen here, when you're getting pulled over, you have your hands on the dashboards, you make sure it's well lit, you make sure that your documentation is, you can easily get to your documentation. You want to make sure that your firearm is not in the same location as your documentation. You want to be very cool, calm, and collective to make sure that you're not making any sudden moves or anything like that. You want to make sure that you're polite and you're courteous. You don't want to sound like you're speaking with any kind of slang or any kind of I can't even remember. This is how they talk today. With this drag in their voice. They sound like they in the streets, so they from the streets. This is how they sound. You want to make sure that you're speaking clear. You want to make sure that that you're not making any sudden moves. You want to make sure that you're complying. And 9 times out of 10, when you do that, you disarm them because it's in this country is in such a state of disarray where you have people, hey, they just boom, 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 boom. You running, you especially if you're involved or they're getting a call for you're involved in some type of crime, anything like that. They already have a preconceived notion of what's going on. You want to minimize those threats by not first and foremost, don't put yourself in a situation as to where they can even do that. Don't put yourself in that situation. You want to make sure that, hey, at the end of the day, you accept the reality of the situation and you proceed accordingly. I was coming home. I had to pick up my son from Arkansas, right? And hey, every time I go more than 3 hours, I always get a rental. Again, that's another video. If you're going over 3 hours or whatever, you know what I'm saying, and you're driving somewhere, always just get a rental. You know what I'm saying? It's just easier to do it that way. But I'm in this rental, this Mazda, and I'm telling you, man, I'm skating down 90 miles an hour, 92 miles an hour down a highway or whatever. And I'm telling you, man, these new cars, man, you don't even notice that you're going that fast. And of course, whoop, 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 whoop. It's dark outside. It's raining. I get pulled over. Pull on over. Hand on the dashboard or on the steering wheel. Cop drives up. You know how they do. You know how they do. License, registration. Did you know that you were speeding? You speeded right past me. They got me dead to rights. I know what they say in terms of answering questions and this, that, and the third, and so forth and so on. Yes, officer. Here goes my ID. Where you coming from? I don't have to answer any of these questions. But I have to realize and I have to take into consideration the simple fact of the state of this country and that I'm a black man. Coming to pick up my son. He's in the back seat. Hey, so forth and so on. Ran my information. Of course, nothing came back. Squeaky clean. Because of course, they run to see if you got warrants. That computer in that car, they can check. They know everything about you. And of course, came back squeaky clean. Said, listen here, sir. Here goes your ID. We're gonna let you off. I'm just let you off with a warning. Just make sure that you just slow it down. Take it easy. Go on about your way. Go on about your way. That was the last time in many, 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 many years. And I think it happened like a year or two ago. But that was the last time in many, many, many years I haven't even been pulled over. Like I said, squeaky clean driving record, squeaky clean criminal record, never has had any altercations, lawsuits, anything like that. No problems whatsoever. So it's all about how you carry yourself and how you present yourself. Sure, can they do what they do? Of course they can. You can't control what someone else does. But what you can do is control how you deal and how you engage and how you present yourself to the greater public, especially law enforcement. I can assure you, I cannot survive out here and providing and making and run a nice little successful little handyman contracting business out here if I don't know how to communicate and if I don't know how to present myself and engage with people. It's just not going to happen. So word to the wise. I know it's a lot of little nuggets that I put in this video, but the fact of the matter is that for black people, and a lot of people, they're moving out of the city in the country, but they're not taking these preventative measures, at least that I'm not aware of, to ensure that you're mitigating these losses and making sure that you're not putting yourself in the situation as to where you can run into some type of problem. So what I would do in conclusion again is if you're moving from the city to the country, go ahead and just introduce yourself to the local law enforcement. Go down to the local police department. Go down to the local sheriff's department. Go ahead and shake their hand and be friendly. And then, because of course, they're going to, in these small towns, they know who you are. And again, another word of advice. Make sure that you're not getting involved or interacting at all with anybody with any kind of criminal record, because what they do is, at least around here, is if they know that you are associated with people that are into drugs, that are alcoholics, or anybody that's doing meth or anything like that, they're going to automatically group and associate you with those people, and they're going to treat you as such. So make sure not only do they know that who you are, just for safety's sake, but also that you're not associating with people that have savory or criminal activities or criminal backgrounds, because they're going to lump you in with those people, and they're always going to have an eye on you. Word to the wise, be careful, be proactive. People may not agree, but it's worked for me. Shalom.